The most powerful person is, of course, able to do the most harm, but also able to do the most good. When Dale Carnegie was told that he's now the richest man in the world when he sold Carnegie Steel to the consortium that bought it from him, he was told, "You're now," was it JP Morgan? Anyway, told him, Carnegie, that he's now the richest man in the world. So what did he do? Well, he took his funds and he gave the greater part of it away. This upset his competitor, Rockefeller. Didn't like being outsmarted in this way, vowed within himself that he would do better. But he had to be a winner, you see. I mean, these people have to win. So he gave away twice as much in the end. Well, that's the story. But stories mean a lot when they enshrine a truth that's everlasting. Either way, there's something lovely about these two fellows that had all the power and did their best to use it wonderfully. Thank you, Heavenly Father.
You may think that Rockefeller or Carnegie, I suppose, when they gave away their money, may have been still self-interested. And the answer is yes, of course. The self-interest, though, has shifted ground from simply wanting more wealth and power to wanting to be appreciated and valued by society. It's something that the tyrants of history typically did not manage before they died. And the use of their power, of course, made life very insecure, especially if the power harmed other people in very obvious ways and constrained them in their freedom. And you had a whole world that wanted to kill you. It must dawn at some point on the mind, on the consciousness, that been going for the wrong goals as regards the individual's happiness. So I think the story of these two titans of industry, American ones, holds the fundamental truth that the greatest desire in human nature is to be appreciated and valued. And that is your security, because our happiness turns on being appreciated and valued, admired, respected, thought well of. Because, of course, we rely on others so much for our happiness, their acceptance, is very important as regards determining their behaviour towards us. Nothing new here, is there? Just some outstanding examples of the realization of such in our culture, in our mythology almost, that makes up the fabric of our values, our enshrined values, values enshrined in our society from our history and experience. So nations reflect their current level of development of enlightenment and understanding and appreciation of their values. And if you get it right, well, you get prosperity, fruits of wisdom. If you haven't got it right yet, country's a tricky place to live in. You might rather want to move elsewhere. I think it is the case that countries in the world with an historically, at least, Christianized type of background, culture, are the nations that, countries that people want to move to. And you can think your way around the nations that come to mind around the world, and I think see that this is true. Where are the people migrating from to in significant numbers? And it's the same with the individual. The more genuinely wise view of reality is, almost by definition, the more attractive the life that comes as a consequence. You might start worshipping power, but you must finish worshipping love, harmony, loving kindness. Grace, forbearance, patience, peace, joy. And for some it takes a lot of hardship to come to this conclusion. Others seem to embrace it almost intuitively. They hear it, then they follow it. It does help, of course, if you've got good examples when you're a kiddie. But even bad examples can give you a great motivation and understanding of what's good. Thank you, Heavenly Father.
You see, you can become powerful enough and secure enough to at last just indulge in blessing others and giving them security. Understand for a moment God in that way, infinitely powerful, and therefore utterly free to love us without risk of it getting out of hand, us misusing it to the extent that we become a threat or a cost to him. Do you see? And so, in the not knowing situation that the secular world is in, if you like, a rather minimal appreciation of the existence of God that's in the secular world in general, their best strategy is to be very intent not simply on their own security and prosperity, but that of their neighbouring states and countries too, which in the modern world of technology is all the other states, all the other countries. You know, when world leaders meet, there should be, for their security, the intent on the security of all the members of the world. They will be mindful that they don't want to be vulnerable in any way to any one state that might have a different intention, but that the greater defense against such is to want the well-being of all the member states. In other words, they actually need to trust each other. And to the extent that you can encourage and hold such trust to be the case, whilst protecting your people from a breach of such, then there is hope, the best hope, as I understand it. What do you think? So these treaties that one nation has with another was sort of halting steps in that direction. Look, I'm your security. If you're attacked, I will help protect you. And if I'm attacked, you're committed to help protect me. Now, we're told of Jesus that your yes be yes and your no, no. But not to have yeses or nos. Not to have such. Some things are good to say yes to, and do what you can to hold to it. And in the passing of time, trust will grow if you're earnest in such. Trust doesn't have to be two-way. You might trust me, even though I might not trust you. And your trust to me starts to dawn on me as some assurance. In other words, my mistrust starts to be overcome by your faith and trust. Do you see what I'm saying is that the absence of trust is not contagious, but the presence of trust is. hope you're right, Marshall. Yes, that's true. We hope I'm right. And that is hope in itself, isn't it? I mean, that engenders hope in itself. You see, there is a great desire in all of us that somehow I could be right. And it is this hope that we choose to hold, because the alternative is an utter calamity. Do you see? Hope has a self-spontaneity that masters all existence and non-existence. My goodness, who would have thought I was going to come to that conclusion in less than 17 minutes. Thank you, Heavenly One. Thank you, Dad, so much. Thank you, Dad. Well, I didn't realise I was on such an earlier listening to 1500 and something. Well, you could say I'm still, this last addition to it, this last few minutes, is well, even from then to now, isn't time strange? I can add to something that was months ago. And that stretch of time be contracted, or concertinaed, I want to say, really, into 17 minutes that embraces the start and the finish of the thought. You know, our thoughts from God are like that. That which He has held across eternity can be delivered to us in a less than an instant of time. No time at all, in a thought put into our mind. From and by God. Our God is awesome, you know. An awesomeness that's utterly beyond our conception of awesomeness. If we weren't such chatterboxes, ladies, I'm especially talking to you. Well, and Marshall, of course, he's a terrible chatterbox, isn't he? If we weren't such chatterboxes, we would simply dwell in the awesome awareness of our wonderful husband. Oh, I love saying that. I can remember mockingly playing that with, which wife was it? But you know, where you're just looking up, absolute hamming it up, but awesome bewilderment at the magnificence of your husband. And he takes a deep breath in pride that, you know, he's the utterly magnificent man that he's supposed to be. love you, Lord. May we just adore you, but in the loveliest way. And perhaps that's a bit childish, because you love children. We all just love children. I had such a blessing yesterday. I was at a Women's Aglow meeting. Now, a Women's Aglow meeting originally, well, we've dropped the word women now because we're in the 21st century, aren't we? We are not gender specific. It's just that the room's full of women with one or two very strange men like myself. And slightly cautious people are, and I've been the object of great caution. You know, we allow men here, but we don't really want men here. Some of us do, of course, and we don't know, do we? I want it to be such a blessing. I think some people there at the very least know that I wanted to bless them so much. I've got distracted, I got lost. Hang on a sec. Let me pause. What I want to say is the children of some lady there who's going through great turmoil. She's an angel. Her name's Sarah. And as far as I can see, she has 3 children. And I was playing with one of them who utterly takes to me. She's a little girl, younger than Aria. An absolute angel of loveliness. Utter purity. We were playing hide and seek. As she suggested it, this wasn't something of my construction. It's from the loveliness of her mind, not mine. Well, perhaps it's all from the loveliness of God, for goodness sake. But you know what I mean. And we played hide and seek. I think we, each person's turn amounted to a total of, in total together, about 7 turns or 8 turns we had, and perhaps no more, I don't know. No, I doubt it. And it was just the fun of hiding in different places. And she was just, you know what kids do? They choose to have fun in finding you and hiding. And you enter into this and choose to have fun in it too. And it's so lovable. Such a joy to play. Such a joy. It's the same with you and me, except we just choose to love. We so want to be a blessing. And it is that desire in us, which is our glory. And it's perhaps wise, I don't know, to not even hold that as our own, except God allows us to. But it is His love in us, isn't it? His joy in us. His love in us longs to express itself in loving those around us. And we are that. We are His love. And it longs to express to His creation how much He loves and cares for us. I am that, you are that. You're allowed to enter into that. You're so encouraged to enter into that playing. We were playing hide and seek. Is it hide and seek? Yes, not ing. Language changes, doesn't it? But the joy I got from that girl's joy and pleasure in playing. You see, that's why God has children. You see in your heart and mind, your very being. That's why he loves you. It's because he has this immense capacity to delight in such. It's too much for me. I've lost the thought of it. Hang on a sec. We touch here on an understanding of why God has created us, life, separated to himself by a veil of unknowing in each of us, that we may be separate enough for us all to dwell in this joy that he has created the possibility of. Just like her playing hide and seek. She set it up, this little girl, because that's what she wanted. It's in her heart. How much more then in God's heart? Do you realize how he wants to play? This awesome infinite being wants to enter into the joy of the light-heartedness as spoken of in this little girl. That's why he's chosen for us to be separate from him and to rejoice and joy in such, because he longs to have beautiful company, and he's made us to be in eternity that beautiful company. Fully experiencing the very joy that he conceives of. And we just shower him with love and praise back as he does to us, because that's all we know of. He wants children, and we're it. He wants incredibly joyful, happy children, like that little girl, like my Aria too, when she's really playing with me. We are love, you see, and all his children are love too. We are what God is. Behind the clothing of separateness, that we wear. And these clothes are coloured with different inadequacies of understanding. Now look, I hope this doesn't seem too salacious, but I want to say it's a bit like the beautiful woman in your arms. She's dressed just wonderfully, but I want her undressed. Now you may think that's an appalling analogy. Typical analogy that a man would come up with, you might think. Yes, that's true, because it has true meaning in that way. Your clothes are beautiful, love, But you undressed is just the awe. We are, each of us, each of his children, undressed the purity, the utter loveliness of God. But we're dressed in fancy dress that we may enjoy a party. And you can enter into this universe of the uncertainty as the party. Some children are so dressed that they're, well, I didn't want to come to the party anyway, and they're sitting outside or they don't want to take part. They're too hidden. And it's our joy to say, hey, you're invited to the party. Would you like to come? It's my birthday. You know, the sort of 7-year-old to another 7-year-old. And of course in their heart, yes, they would like to come. And they may have 1,000 reasons for not coming yet. And you might not be able to persuade them to come yet. But they will come in the end. Because God's made them with this same need that he has. To party. Look. There's much unhappiness in the world. I may not quite have the answer for it, but I suspect the answer is in knowing that God is our heavenly Dad. And I think you'll go a long way towards your answer if you embrace that notion. And if you have another way that's different, well, may you be blessed in such, and come to a wonderful and lovely fulfillment of the path you're on, which from my perspective I just hope with all my heart leads to the joy and peace that I experience from time to time with my God. In other words, I'm hoping in my heart that somehow your God blends into being my God, because I see the joy and the happiness in my God, and I fear so the distress and unhappiness that seems to court what I see of your God. So there may be an inconsistency, a discord between us, but may our love and concern for each other reach across such divide that we all be blessed. For I can't really conceive of being happy until I know you're blessed and you know I'm blessed. Perhaps not quite in the same blessing, because I want you to keep your clothes on the same as me. We're still at the party, aren't we? Oh, I hope that wasn't too bad an analogy. It's graphic in some ways, and I know it might be rejected by some. And if you're one of the some that would reject it, well, that's all right, I understand. Still love you to bits. My whole hope is to love you to bits. All of us. To be truly loving and kind to each other. Lord bless you. Lord bless you with knowing His very self, that you ever flourish and blossom in life eternal, that we all do. That's the true blessing. So I understand it, that we all blossom in life eternal. An achievement that is the very joy of our